You see them every day, right? The lines on a map. But have you ever really thought about them? Well, in this explainer, we're going to dig into why those lines are even there and what they actually mean. All right, let me start by asking you something. Picture this. You've got two people, and they're standing just 3 meters apart. I mean, that's nothing, right? A couple of steps. But what if crossing that tiny distance means crossing an invisible line? A line that changes everything. And look, this isn't some hypothetical riddle. It's the real everyday life for so many people. The source material we're looking at talks about someone living literally 3 meters from the Egyptian border. For them, that line defines their whole world, their identity, their daily routine, everything. So that brings us to the big question, right? Why these borders? Why are the lines drawn exactly where they are? Let's dig in and find out. Okay, so just think about it for a second. That person we mentioned, the one near the border, they might have way more in common with their neighbor in, say, Sudan than with someone from their own country living way up in a city like Alexandria. You know, they might share the same dialect, the same food, the same way of life. That line on the map, it forces a national identity that can feel kind of artificial compared to the real human connections you have with the people right there beside you. And this is where you really see that tension. On one side, you've got modern nationalism. You know, that feeling you get cheering for your country's soccer team. But on the other side, you have these much deeper shared identities, like the idea of an African Ummah, a huge community that just completely ignores those modern lines on the map. So it makes you wonder, where did this whole idea of nationalism tied to these specific lines even come from? Well, the answer, the main clue, is right here. The colonizer's pen draws maps. The story really begins with a pen, held in a hand thousands of miles away, drawing lines on a map of a place it didn't know, and frankly, didn't really try to understand. So the historical force we're talking about is, of course, European colonialism. For a long time, European powers ran huge parts of the globe. And when it came time to draw borders, you gotta understand, their top priority wasn't respecting ancient cultures or tribal lands. Sure, sometimes a river or a mountain range made for a convenient line. But a lot of the time, it was all about resources, politics, and power. Okay, to make this less abstract, let's look at a really clear example from our source, the creation of modern Iraq. See, this wasn't a country that just grew naturally over centuries. No, it was, for all intents and purposes, constructed. And the way they did it was surprisingly simple. First, Britain grabs control of the area after World War I. Then they literally just draw some lines on a map, mashing different groups of people together. After that, they install a ruler, a king, to run this new kingdom of Iraq. And finally, they pack up and leave, leaving behind this brand new state whose borders had everything to do with their own foreign policy and almost nothing to do with the actual history of the people living there. And this is the key point. It's a total game changer. Suddenly, borders weren't being shaped by centuries of history and culture anymore. They were being created by the quick, clean stroke of a pen. I mean, this was a massive shift from how the world had worked for, well, forever. So to really grasp just how huge this change was, we have to rewind. We have to look at what the world was like before all this division, because believe me, it was a completely different world. Yeah, and this lays out the difference perfectly. Think about old empires. Their borders were fuzzy, more like zones of influence that could shift and change. Your identity came from your culture, your language, your community. It wasn't about a line. But modern states, totally different. They're all about hard, fixed lines on a map, lines that are policed and defended, creating this very specific national identity inside those walls. And our source points to some amazing examples. You look at something like the Umayyad state, it was this enormous connected world. Or take the old Egyptian kingdom. Its influence reached way down into Africa, way past its modern borders, heading towards Somalia. There weren't any hard lines, no stop here signs. It was all just fluid. So here's the bottom line. In that old world, nobody's identity was decided by what side of an imaginary line they were born on. This whole modern obsession we have with passports, visas, and super precise borders, it's actually a brand new idea, historically speaking. Like, really new. Okay, so that's the history. But what about today? What's the legacy of these artificial lines? Well, that's what we're getting into now, the real-world consequences we're still living with. And the fallout is, honestly, everywhere you look. You have people who are basically the same, with the same culture, suddenly split in two by a border. You get these national identities that can feel a little flimsy compared to the thousands of years of shared history underneath. And when you look at so many of the conflicts and tensions around the world today, a whole lot of them can be traced right back to those lines drawn on a map 100 years ago. And really, it all boils down to this. Just like our source material says, the problem is that European colonialism drew the map. That's it. We are all living inside a structure that was designed by someone else for their own reasons a long, long time ago. So that leaves us with one last big question to chew on. If these borders, these lines on a map, were all just made up by people, couldn't they be reimagined? What would a world based more on human connection and less on division even look like? It's a heck of a thought. Thanks for joining me.